Now back to the morning roast with Bonte Hill and Joe Shansky.
Joe Shasky. So you just pick it up and Joe Shasky.
And Joe Shasky.
All right, we got Dumas in studio.
I was in Shanksky last night. Got a couple rips last night.
Shansky?
Come on, man.
How'd you do in the softball?
We won.
All right.
We should have won going away.
You didn't get hurt?
No, thank God.
All right, that's
That was
good.
my first game back from the injury, though.
Oh, you were injured. I didn't know you were on the IL.
Oh, bro, I told you that I tore my Achilles. I didn't tell you about
Wait,
this?
You said that last year.
No. This was like, I don't know.
It's like a reoccurring thing. Maybe
Bro,
your
I had
stuff is
6
ready to
games
go.
in one day, and it was because of the plantar fasciitis, and I ended up straining the ankle. It's bad,
So
bro.
you're playing
But I'm
6
back.
games in one day. Your foot's messed up. You got to do
Made a
it.
couple nice plays at first. I'm back, bro.
You will be having surgery at the end of the summer.
Why you gotta talk to me like that?
Because you're injury prone.
Well, when you play at an elite level for a long time,
You've been hurt
you hit
since
my
you were
age,
10 years old.
it ends up happening.
You've been in damaged goods.
Exactly.
Damaged goods.
Damaged goods. You got to play through injuries. Steph Curry had like the shoulder thing all year. He had the leg thing. He had the knee. I mean, come on. It happens. And I am not Steph Curry.
You hear this guy Dumas, man? Why everybody cry for Jason Dumas? He's now a Bay guy, man. We're claiming him as our own. I don't think he's really a Philly dude. I don't think he wants to be a Philly dude no more. So that's after that game 7.
Oh man, that was embarrassing, man. They let the city down. Oh man,
I saw Howard Eskin ripping them.
How could they have let the city down when they were like final? Like they're good. I know they want to win it all, but like they're good. They were so bad for so long that people are still holding the whole process thing because I keep seeing it reoccurring. I'm like, it's kind of, I don't know. I think it's played out, just ripping the whole process part of it because they're so far beyond the process and so removed from it. Like they've deviated. How many different general managers have they had since him?
I think only one since Hinkie.
Yeah.
No, they had
Elton Brand.
Well, Elton Brand's still there.
Colangelo.
They had Colangelo, and now they have Morey. So really only one.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. It just feels like they're
six straight years in the second round.
I know.
Can't get past it.
That's crazy.
I mean,
Yeah, it's just tough.
That's crazy. They were rolling
shot.
too in that game 7, and then all hell broke loose in that third quarter. We won't get off Philly. By the way, this Monday, we're bringing you our Warriors Summit. All the hosts, Steiny, Guru, Willard, Dibs, Shasky, myself, John Dickinson will be there from 4 to 6 at Juan Vino in Walnut Creek. The address is 1501 North Broadway, Suite 138. That's 1501 North Broadway, Suite 138. The extensions, get Dumas in there, too. Get Dumas out there in the creek. I know he wants to go out there to the creek. Show's open to the public as we have an open discussion about all the questions and issues the Warriors have in the offseason. That's right. It's this Monday, May 22nd from 4 to 6 p.m. at Juan Vino in Walnut Creek. And also the segment is brought to you by Kirby, your driveway mechanic. Check out Kirby at CURBEE.com. We'll see you at Walnut Creek. It's going to be a lot of fun on Monday. So let's start here at Dumas. How would you sum up the season for the Golden State Warriors?
It's funny. The last time we were in here, I was in here with you guys, and you guys were asking me to like categorize the fan base for each team here in the Bay, and I mentioned Warriors fans, and I said delusional, and I said I don't mean it as an insult. It sounds like an insult, but I mean like when I first moved here, and I just I started following certain people on Twitter and started getting follows from Warriors fans. I started to realize just how high the bar was, and I'm like, I'm coming from a place where I grew up, and it's like you never win anything really. Right. We had the 2008 Phillies, so I'm like, damn, these people are really like expect a championship every single year. It's like nuts.
That's how the Niners used to be. But yes, keep going.
I'm like, do these people realize that just not really how sports work?
Thank you.
So, I think to the general Warriors fan, they're going to say the season was a failure because they didn't win a championship. And of course, that's the bar here. But I'm a little more realistic. KD's not here anymore. You're not going to just like overwhelmingly beat everybody every year, even when you're not on your A game. So I would say it was like a B minus, a C plus. I'm not a moral victory guy, but at the end of the day, there were still 18. There were one of 8 teams left remaining. The Lakers beat them in 6, but I don't think the Lakers are all much better than them. Like
it was a tough 6-game series.
Yeah, game 1 and game 4 were toss-ups. Right. Wiggins doesn't get hurt. I mean, Wiggins was a shell of himself last game. It was clear. So, if the Warriors could have very easily been in the conference finals, and, it wasn't perfect. There was some turmoil. Steve Kerr talked about that yesterday. But I don't think it was a complete failure. I guess my biggest there's some things they're going to have to address in the offseason. I would have liked to be more confident in Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody's role on the team at the end of the year. That's probably the biggest failure of the season to me, outside of not winning a championship. We're going into another offseason where Mo and Joku don't really know their role.
Right. Yep. And we don't know what to make of them.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. So that's the biggest failure part, aside from not winning it all. But I think, man, you got a lot of wiggle room because 30 is still 30, you know?
So let's start there. Can they all coexist? Can they just roll it back one more year? Just for right now, one more year. We'll get to the financial dominoes and all that stuff. Just cohesion-wise, can they roll it back and a year older for a lot of these guys? The league, obviously around them probably getting better. Can they just be in a position to contend again next year with the exact same core?
I do. Obviously they'll have to tinker some of the role players. I think there'll have to be an uncomfortable conversation with Klay Thompson.
No doubt.
And I think that Jordan Poole and Draymond Green will just have to continue trying to build back that trust. You're not going to bang with somebody, they punch you in your face. It's just cold, hard facts.
But wouldn't you want to remove that? Because, I'm looking at it this way. They had so much stuff going on this year, whether it's the young guys, Bob Myers not knowing whether he's coming, the tax bill, you just won the championship.
The Wiggins.
Klay doesn't play in the offseason. Wiggins.
Anthony Lamb.
So much stuff. Wouldn't you want to remove some of those variables by not even going down that road again?
Well, Shasky, I think right now, Jordan Poole's trade value is at an all-time low.
Agreed.
So just from a business standpoint, it wouldn't even be that smart to shop him right now.
I agree on that. But what about Draymond?
No, I would bring back Draymond for sure, just because I think Draymond is really important to what they do. Does he mess up off the court a lot? Yeah, and when I say off the court, obviously we're not talking legal issues. Just some of his passion, just goes over. But I think they trust Draymond enough to fix what he messed up. And I think Steve Kerr conveyed yesterday that it was hard to fix while they were playing. There's a season going on. Draymond's I had to kind of I shut up and I sat in the background, and that's usually not my role. It's the offseason now. Who knows? Draymond could call Jordan Poole, look, Jordan, I want to come out to Milwaukee. Let's work out. Let's work out for 3 weeks, man. You never know. That's just me throwing something against the wall. But now that basketball isn't every day for them and they're not on the road and they can kind of maybe repair something, I think Draymond will take it upon himself to do that, because Draymond is very self-aware. Right. He's very self-aware.
He's smart. He is. No,
at times he is, and at times he's not.
Right.
Let's be fair here.
But he's no dummy. But sometimes he says things where it's like, all right, maybe you don't need to say that. Were you surprised, Dumas? We got Jason Dumas live in studio. We'll take your calls in just a second. George and Mac, hang on tight here. Jason Dumas does a great job for KRON 4. Flip that entire sports department. You guys do a great job talking hoops over there. You do a great job. I love when you talk to the visiting players, all that stuff. You know how I feel about that. But were you surprised yesterday to hear Steve Kerr? And then later on in the day, Draymond Green say that, the punch really caused turmoil and really kept us from being the championship contender we needed to be.
I wasn't surprised. They were kind of hinting at it towards the latter part of the season. I heard Steve Kerr a couple times saying, we're trying to get everybody on the same page. Right. And it was just subtle hints. And, that's the only thing they could really be talking about. There wasn't, I guess there were some issues with Jonathan Kuminga in terms of just him wanting a bigger role.
Right.
And, Steve Kerr kind of just saying no, essentially. Yeah. But that was the glaring issue, was Jordan and Draymond. And I think it wasn't so much like that there was animosity and they didn't like each other. It was just more the sense where it was just everyone felt like they were walking on eggshells. Yep. Draymond didn't feel like he could be Draymond in the locker room because he lost a lot of that equity when he punched him in his face.
Especially probably from the youngsters, right? They're like,
it's come on, man. You're supposed to be the leader. So I think that's where things kind of went awry. But look, like I said, they still weren't super far off.
I thought they were going to beat the Lakers.
If Andrew Wiggins doesn't miss all that time, they're probably in a better seed. there's just there was a lot of variables, and like I said, everything didn't come together for them like it did last season, and it has in the past. But even if they get by the Lakers, I mean, the way I see Denver playing, I probably would have gotten ugly with this year's version of the Warriors. But Steve was right. Like they maxed it out. They probably maxed it out given all the circumstances. But I do think eventually Jordan and Draymond can get past that. And I think if they move Jordan, I don't necessarily think it'll be totally to do with that situation. Right. I think it would be from a basketball standpoint.
Finances,
like, Jordan and, like, to me, the bigger issue is, like, Jordan and Clay, not their person. Just their games. It's like Jordan wants to start. He plays better when he starts. He plays better when he has a more defined role.
Yep.
Clay does not want to come off the bench.
No doubt.
I think that dynamic, from a basketball standpoint, is kind of impeding the Warriors' progression, more so Draymond and Jordan Poole.
Well, because he keeps talking about positionless defense and positionless offense, and I get where he's coming from, but the beauty of what made Klay Thompson was that he was 6'6", 6'7", could guard all the best perimeter players, and that would be able to provide shield, covered, whatever, for Steph Curry, and they could play off of each other. Now that defensive element is not in his bag as readily available as it was in years past, I think it's tough to just throw Jordan Poole into the two-guard spot in this hypothetical. They need a two-way player, a guy who can balance the floor on both ends significantly better. GP who does it on the defensive end, but then offensively, now you have too many non-scorers out there, especially when coupled with Kevon Looney and Draymond Green. So, they need a big. They've always needed a big. They also need another two-way player.
Right.
To me, they need another two-way wing.
Absolutely. They need a guy who can, theoretically, you put Wiggs there, but even Wiggs, you just need another Wiggs.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
He, especially in these NBAs, the best teams have 2 or 3 of them.
Right.
You watching Denver? KCP. They could throw Gordon on you for a little bit, and Porter ain't guarding nobody. But
he played some defense yesterday, though, surprisingly.
Getting a little better.
He's getting a little better.
Doesn't. But they've got bodies, and Brown's playing defense. They've got various bodies they can throw at you. I'm with you on that. They need more perimeter defense. I think they thought they'd have Moody farther along,
or Kuminga,
and I think they also thought Iggy.
That's where the Kuminga thing becomes frustrating because he did see minutes. From February 1st, he shot 45 from 3, shot 50 from the field, and that's why the whole thing, he needs to rebound more, but he's guarding guys on the perimeter, because he is that two-way threat. So how are you going to guard, when you're guarding Luka Doncic and he's bombing threes left and right, and he's playing well? I think that's where they messed up, where Kuminga, and Steve Kerr said it, look, he couldn't get on the floor because of GP2 and Wiggins, but it felt like he was ascending, and 3 minutes against Sacramento is not enough. Obviously, the moping when that started with Jonathan Kuminga, he was done after that.
Yeah, I don't pretend to know more than Steve Kerr or have more basketball acumen than him, but I disagree with his assessment of why he didn't play Jonathan Kuminga. I think Kuminga would have been helpful. Kuminga came through for the team when Wiggins was out.
Right.
He deserved better than what he got.
Yep.
And, you can't tell me that he couldn't have helped, especially some of those Lakers games where people are getting in foul trouble. People have 2-3 fouls in the first half.
For a minute?
Yeah, he can't help at all.
I'm with you.
And it's just like Steve says that young guys can't win playoff games. They just don't play.
Well, Austin Reeves, what's he doing right now?
What's Austin Reeves doing? Look at Christian Brown,
Keegan Murray,
Brown on the Nuggets.
Yeah,
young guys can play.
Tyler Hero helped the Heat a few years ago as a rookie.
It's objectively not true.
Well, so
it is.
On that same note on Kuminga, because I know you're real tapped in. You're at all the games, so you get a good feel for this, and you know a lot of different guys in the team and in the league in general. I've had an opinion, and I've talked to Bonte about this. It wasn't the greatest look that he spoke with the Chronicle and maybe was a little more outspoken. But I just feel like as a media and as a fan base, we're just not delicate to this guy's road to where he is now. He's 20. He's speaking in a second language. He's been in America 5 years, right? I don't think people understand that you're around this team enough. Is that... I'm not saying it's an excuse. I'm just saying it's baked into me being more delicate with someone like Jonathan Kuminga. I just don't think we give him enough benefit of the doubt, I guess, is where I'm going.
No, I agree. Coming into this season, I was Team Kerr. I kind of understood because Kuminga came in kind of with an ego.
Yeah.
He came in with a lot of pedigree. Like at one point, and by some recruiting services, he was the top player in his class.
Exactly.
Like he was a stud, and he sees his peers getting all this usage and everything around the league, and obviously he's on a championship team, so I mean, he gets it, but he's still looking around, and like I said, he's young, but
really young.
Steve had to kind of knock him off his peg. This year, he came in with a different attitude. Yeah. I noticed it immediately.
Interesting.
I have talked to Jonathan Kuminga. He realized what he had to do coming into this year.
Jason, real quick, I want you to continue on this because when the report came out that he wasn't working hard in the offseason, I said, that's a load of crap. And I said it, didn't I say it right away?
Right away.
Right away, I said, that's a load of crap because we all know people in Kuminga's camp.
Right.
The guy is a worker. He wants to be great. I'm cool with a young man being 20 years old thinking that he's Kobe Bryant already. Not true, but I love the confidence. But I want you to continue on this, Jason.
Yeah, he understood what Steve and them needed of him, and it kind of feel like just the goalposts have been changing. Like for a while, the messaging was it's his attitude, and he has to do this and do that. And then yesterday, Steve Kerr is like he doesn't rebound enough, and it's like, come on, really? Like
that's guard perimeter players.
That's what I'm
thinking. That's why he's not playing, because he's not rebounding enough.
And like I watched Anthony Lamb and Ty Jerome play throughout the bulk of the year. Don't tell me that Anthony Lamb's the second coming of Kevin Love in his prime as a rebounder. He was fine, but we're acting like the guy was Rodman.
Yeah, no, I don't get it. And if like it would have been more justifiable, I wouldn't have agreed with it, but it would have been more justifiable if Anthony Lamb actually played postseason.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
He fell out of the rotation, so it's like you did all that not to even to play the guy.
Exactly. For a minute. An important minute, I guess.
For a minute, a two-way player there. So, no, I'm with you there. And he, like you said, he helped carry the team when Wiggins was out and when GP2 was hurt. He was playing 23 minutes a game and he's a kid that got better and better as the game progressed. Yeah. He would start off rough early on, maybe pick up a couple fouls. Then he would get back into that game, and he's like, okay, this guy's playing fourth quarter minutes, and he has the game, the mid-range game. I think he can hit the quarter three. I hope they don't trade Jonathan Kuminga because I think he could be a star. Let's take some calls real quick, Dumas. We got you in studio. A lot of people want to talk to you. Our roasters, George in Santa Clara. George, what's happening? You're on the roast.
Thanks for taking my call, Bonte. Real quick, a few things. As far as Jonathan Kuminga is concerned, you guys have kind of given him an excuse in terms of he was guarding perimeter players, and that's the reason he only got 3 rebounds a game. How many long rebounds did the Warriors give up? That's not an excuse. Rebounding is a matter of want to. He could do better, and I figured that he will. Going forward, Jordan Poole, what is his role on this team going forward? As long as Steph Curry is here, he's not going to start. Is he going to be okay being a part-time starter in the regular season and then come playoff time, if his shot's not there, he doesn't play defense, you can't start him with Steph. So what is his role going forward on this team where he's going to be happy and the Warriors are going to be happy paying him $28 million plus?
Let's start with Kuminga. No one's saying he's a perfect player. I don't think any of us in here agree with that. Could he maybe have more of an effort on the glass? I guess. I just think we're all in agreement that shouldn't have been the reason why he wasn't getting any opportunities. Because
you don't bench him, ice him out because he can't get a ball. Clay has gone a decade; he could barely rebound. And Wiggins took 7 or 8 years before he started becoming a rebounder.
And Chico said here on YouTube, Moody's rebound rates are consistently lower than JK's. Well, you only talk about Jonathan Kuminga, 3.5 rebounds per 20 minutes. Hey, that's 6 rebounds over a 30-minute span.
Yeah, there's no role player on the Warriors perfect enough to justify. Like
Draymond Green didn't have a great rebounding season.
So and then with the Jordan Poole, I think he hit the nail on the head in terms of just that's what I think the biggest issue with Jordan and this team is the lack of a role. Not the Draymond Green thing. Obviously, the Draymond Green thing is imperfect and that plays a part. Right. But I think Jordan wants a more defined role. I mean, obviously that role is he wants to start. Yep. Probably in Jordan's mind, he thinks he's better than Klay Thompson. Right. And you know what? It's just like one of those things where, like that is what I think really was weighing on him more down the stretch than anything. It wasn't the after effects of Draymond Green. And it was, look, man, like I get jerked around a little bit. I mean, obviously, some of his struggles, you got to take ownership for them. Like we're not out there shooting your shot, but I think he wants a more defined role. Whether you think that's right or wrong is irrelevant. That's what he feels.
I felt empathy for him more so than any player on this roster because of what happened in the preseason and because of what you just said. One day I'm starting. I'm averaging 25 points a game as a starter. Wait, now I'm coming off the bench. Wait, now you're asking me to be a facilitator. Oh, wait, now I'm playing next to DiVincenzo and Kuminga. Oh, wait, now I'm playing next to Jermichael Green and Anthony Lamb. What's going on here? So I think he did have it tough. And that's why the whole report after Game 4, when he was frustrated in the locker room, okay, great. 23-year-old player after playing 10 minutes in Game 4, a pivotal game, which basically ended your season because Lonnie Walker went crazy, but you didn't play much. You played 10 minutes and went scoreless, and you're frustrated. And people made a big deal about that. Of course he's frustrated.
I was in that locker room. I mean,
what was it like in that locker room?
It was, to me, it wasn't very much different than any other loss. Yeah. They were annoyed. They were ticked off. And I honestly go in the locker room so I can kind of see those moments and see what's going on. But I don't necessarily love being in the locker room after a loss because, like, especially on the road, it just sometimes it feels forced.
Right.
I go and try to do my job. I observe. I'm not able to be in the locker room as much as like the writers because I typically I have TV hits like right after the game. So I'll pop in. Maybe I'll try to ask a quick question to someone off the record and just get some intel to help me give some context to my reports. But I didn't notice anything that much different. It's a small locker room. Jordan with Pitts. Jordan is always kind of obnoxious with the media. It's usually in fun though. Like he'll kind of be obnoxious, then give a little smirk after. So he was annoyed, obviously, and Ray wanted him to speak because obviously a bunch of people were crowded around him. Right. So there was a little awkward moment. He's not always pressed to speak like that, but people wanted to hear from him. So it was, I guess you can categorize it as awkward, but it wasn't overly like this moment where it's like, man, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I miss going to the locker room, Shasky. I do. That's the one thing about working in TV. I miss going to those locker because you get the vibe, and you're like, all right, I've been in the locker room before. You played sports. Guys are not happy after a loss.
Right.
Great. They don't want to talk much.
Unless it's Draymond and LeBron and the game's over and they want to hug at half court. Unless it's those two. But other than that, guys aren't mad.
Yeah, no doubt.
What did you make of that? Because that drove me nuts. And I know these guys are friends. I get all the blah, 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 blah. I'm just being real. It drove me nuts.
I didn't mind it. I mean, Steph and LeBron had a pretty long embrace, too.
Yeah, after.
Honestly,
not as the buzzer's going off.
Honestly, the only one who didn't really have it for anybody was Clay.
Interesting.
Clay kind of gave some head nods. LeBron found Clay.
I saw that.
And gave Clay a hug. It was a situation where Clay couldn't not do anything.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not saying Clay doesn't like them, but Clay was not trying. Clay was right off the court. He did what he had to not be impolite. But I even like Steph seemed like he was soaking up the situation. Like Steph took a moment with a bunch of people, Mav Carter, Rich Paul. Like he gave his pleasantries to people. I just think, especially with Steph, a guy like Steph, he kind of has to because he knows the cameras are on him.
Yeah.
He knows so much has been made about that matchup.
That's true.
He knows in 20 years when they're doing the LeBron, Steph Curry like trilogy, those shots are going to be in the documentary. Right. And he doesn't want to be the guy who looks like a sore loser.
Yeah, pulling the Isaiah and what they did.
So, honestly, I don't think it impacted how they performed. I love those shots of Steph if his facial expressions, like the last couple minutes of the game, like
exasperated. He responded.
He was
so let me ask you about that. Let me ask you about that. Because like we're talking about all the moves that. Is there a whale out there? Is there a big-time player that Steph Curry is maybe whispering to, texting, talking to on the side? Is there a big movement that we are just completely sleeping on? Because I think most people feel like there's like one or two moves maybe and, some ancillary moves on the side, but there isn't like a big fish out there. Should they be thinking big fish?
Big fish is relative. I don't think there's a big fish. The perfect player in my mind, I have no idea if he is available. Maybe he could be just because this team is probably going to stink next year again, too. Mikal Bridges. Perfect.
Interesting.
I don't think Brooklyn would trade him.
Yeah, neither do I.
I don't either, but the right deal, like if
Right.
you threw a bunch of picks out there, like to me, he's perfect 3-and-D guy,
Right.
gives you a perimeter guy, can knock down shots.
awesome.
I love him on this team. I would love that.
I'm actually – go ahead, Jay.
He would just be perfect for this roster with what he does. He can score. He's like more than a 3-and-D guy. He can get his too.
What about Zion?
Zion Williamson?
Yeah.
I don't like the fit, really. I mean,
You're talking about buy low in terms of like value league wide,
if you got Zion, Loon or Draymond would have to leave.
right?
Because you can't, like, Zion is not a floor spacer. You need some floor spacing.
Right.
I mean, he's really good, of course. I don't know. I don't know
I'm just thinking
if
outside the
Zion.
box.
Yeah, I don't know if Zion just loves this.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a great question.
I just
point.
don't know if he loves hoop, and if he doesn't, who cares? Like, that's
Right.
that's his
That's on
prerogative.
him, but
Like,
if you don't love hoop, you can't play here.
No,
you got to be able to
Not
love
with
it.
this team.
See, I keep thinking I'm going big here, and I know it's a pipe dream, but I'm very intrigued to see what the Milwaukee Bucks do over the next year
yeah, with Giannis.
because they're getting older.
I'll take
new
Embiid.
new coach. I mean, new ownership. Jimmy Haslam. We know how Jimmy Haslam runs the Cleveland Browns. Now you got a new coach. We don't even know who that coach is. Well, Giannis agree with that coach, and Middleton didn't look good. Drew Holiday's getting older. That core's older. They have the same agent, I believe, him and Steph.
Yeah, they do.
I don't know. It's one of my pipe dreams, but a year from now, a lot would have to change. But I don't feel like Milwaukee or Giannis is going to be a lifer in Milwaukee.
Well, if Milwaukee's ownership group is smart, they're letting Giannis essentially make the decision on the head coaching job.
Yep.
You know, obviously they'll have their input, but they're going to be like, Giannis, here's our short list. Who do
Right.
you prefer? Giannis appointed him, and that guy will probably get the job.
What do you think Draymond Green's market value is currently? Let's say, hypothetically, he opts out. Who are the teams that would be interested in him? What's the price point?
All right, so I think his last year right now is like at 27 mil.
27 mil.
So obviously, the market, I don't know. It would be a team like Portland, a team like the Lakers. Obviously, it feels like the Lakers will give anybody with clutch an opportunity
No doubt.
because it's LeBron James and everything.
I'll keep my clutch comments to myself.
That's a great question. I think Lakers, Blazers, because him and Dame are really close. He's been linked to the Blazers before.
Yep.
People say Detroit because it's his hometown. He would not go there.
Yeah, he's not going to go to a
They're so
losing
far away,
team.
and they
No.
got the 5th pick.
No.
Poor
And they're
Detroit.
all bigs. They've got a zillion bigs.
Maybe a team like Philadelphia.
Interesting.
Team like Philadelphia, he speaks very highly of Joel Embiid often.
It's actually an interesting
and
fit for them.
Draymond would fit in with that city. I think that would be.
He would be right up their alley.
Yeah, they'd love him. Miami, I could see Draymond playing for a team like Miami.
He'd have to get in shape.
Oh yeah,
I mean, Spoelstra would run him. Pat Riley would have me doing all kinds of conditioning drills. Keep going.
right. Yeah, that's probably the small list: Miami, Philly, Portland, Los Angeles.
Interesting. Let's take some calls here.
Yeah.
Let's go to Hawk in Vallejo. Hawk,
Hey,
what's
Hawk.
happening?
Hey, good morning, fellas. How you all doing?
Good morning, man. We're doing well.
So just to lighten the mood real quick, long-time listener, man, I actually met Bonte, me and my son, and I said, hey, man, we were in San Jose at the SAP Arena, and they said, do you know who this is? And he said, I swear to God, Joe Shasky to Bonte. You remember that?
Oh yeah, he did call me Shasky. Yeah, that's right. I kept that one. I kept that one close
That's
to the
pretty
vest. Thanks
funny.
for busting me out.
That's pretty
You just
funny.
made Shasky's day.
That's pretty funny.
Yes. Well, I'm just going to tell you, as a Warriors fan, man, I've been watching teams my whole life. I go back to Chris Mulley, and before then, so when you go back that far, you watch draft picks. Really, that's all you care about
Right.
for the championship team. And I think that with Poole, no, Draymond should not have hit him, but he comes off as obnoxious, not just to Draymond, but also Steph, also Clay. I mean, that just seems to be his persona, and that's cool, but I see too many mental mistakes on the court. There are times where, that D'Angelo, the dunk that they got on him in Sacramento, he does not even attempt to play tough D. And then with Kuminga, I mean, I think I just tuned in this year to just watch what he would do, and he played pretty well, but then you would still see these mental mistakes all the time, even in the playoffs. And if I can see it, I'm sure you all can see it, I'm sure the coach can see it, that you can't make those kind of decisions in the playoffs. So my question to you all is there any chance that, I think I heard a talking head nationally say that maybe we could get the guard Brown from Boston for those two? What are you guys' thoughts? But at this point, I don't know how much more we can invest in them. They seem selfish.
Man, hey, Hawk, number one, tell your son that I still haven't forgiven him for thinking I'm Joe Shasky. Number two, I don't think there's no way in the world Boston's giving up Jaylen Brown for those assets.
That was a Cowherd trade machine, I'm pretty sure.
I heard that was 2 weeks ago, right? Or a week ago.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown would be a pipe. You want to talk about Mikal Bridges. Jaylen Brown's on another level.
But
you'd
Boston
have to
does
drug
not
test,
like
Brad. I don't think they don't. I don't think they.
Well, I'm talking about the media, because when we went back there last year, oh my God,
they were hating on him.
I couldn't believe it.
They were hating on him, but
what?
Jaylen Brown don't care for the city either.
No, he doesn't. I think
Did play a cow.
People are going to call me crazy. It's kind of a hot take. I think Jaylen Brown is more important to them than Jason Tatum.
I'm with you.
Jason Tatum has a higher high, and he's the scorer. And when he gets going, it's beautiful. But night to night, day to day, is what Jaylen Brown does. That keeps
he's a
them
relentless
afloat.
attacker.
Yeah, he plays defense.
Yeah.
He can get his on a way more efficient scale. I think Jaylen Brown, and he's a guy almost like Mikal Bridges in the sense you viewed Mikal as this role player in Phoenix. And you see him in Brooklyn, you're like, oh, he's more than a role player.
I didn't know that, yeah.
I think Jaylen Brown goes to another team where he's probably the first option. All of a sudden, he's averaging 29 a game. Dude, you're like, wow.
He's legit. He did go to Cal Berkeley. He did come to the Bay Area all the way from Georgia.
Him and Ivan Rabb, and they still didn't make much noise.
Yeah, I think they lost to Hawaii in the first round. Roderick Bobick, he played with Juan Toscano Anderson in Castro Valley. He was on the Hawaii team. There you go, Shasky, a little college hoop / high school.
The former Rainbow Warriors.
Yeah, there you go. Let's get to Lloyd in Oakley real quick before we get to Fast Five.
What's up, Lloyd?
Lloyd, what's happening? Lloyd, going once, going twice. He gone. All right, good call. Good call. By the way, I don't know if you see this. What are you quick thoughts on Doc Rivers? 76ers Daryl Morey confirms a report that Joel Embiid was not happy with the dismissal of Doc Rivers.
Why not?
Certainly feels like James Harden did mind the dismissal of Doc Rivers.
I mean, they've been talking about that all year behind the scenes. If Doc didn't get past the second round, he'd be gone. So it was not surprising at all. I think he was the fall guy. I don't think it was his fault. I don't think he's a coach without flaws, though. I think, it is what it is. I don't think he's not a good enough coach where I'm going to lose sleep that he won't be the Sixers coach, even though I don't necessarily think that situation this year was his fault.
How you feel about Harden now?
Oh, yeah.
The same I felt for a while. You believe a person when they tell you who they are the first time. Don't let it be the second, the third. That's literally like the fifth time we've seen that type of performance.
You know what someone called him?
Right.
He's obviously a better version, but he's got Kirk Cousins vibes.
Yeah.
Regular season.
No, I know what you mean.
Regular season, good to go. Come playoff time, no one trusts him.
Well,
that's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful honey. And then you get hitched with her, and you're like, the intangibles just aren't there. They just
he hit some
aren't
big
there.
shots, though, in a couple of those games.
But
he did
240 pieces.
Yeah, 240 pieces.
For that.
But you know what was disappointing after the first 40 piece? I could always do this, but I've been asked to defer, and it's like, dude, just you score 40. We know this is Embiid's team. You know the deal. Don't start complaining now after a 40 piece, and then all of a sudden after Game 7, I just want to compete for championships.
Yeah, it's always something, man. So, he is who we thought he was. You can do worse than James Harden, so you got to look at it that way. But I don't know. If I'm the Sixers, I let him opt out, and I just figure it out from there.
I love Maxey.
Yeah, he's good.
Everybody
love
does.
Maxey.
Great.
I'll move on with him. Now, Tobias Harris, you got to probably move off of. He's making $40 million next
He's
year.
on an expiring, so maybe someone will take that. I don't know.
No, I don't want him on the Dakota State.
Do you want Gabe Vincent? Big money staring him in the face this offseason.
Warriors don't have anybody.
I don't think Gabe Vincent is. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's what the Warriors need.
No, I'm not talking about the Warriors. I'm just saying.
In
general.
In general, yeah.
There's a couple guys going to get it back. Austin Reeves, too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Austin Reeves might get paid.
Well, he just wants it more than you.
Yeah,
That's
they call him
Spadoni
him.
says.
He's
They
a
call
gym
him
rat.
him.
Love
He's
that
a
guy.
gym rat.
Got a Laker
He's
fan over
gritty.
there. Can you
He
believe these
understands the game at a spiritual level.
Would Philadelphia ever hire a Celtics fan? Would they ever hire a New York Giants
They
fan?
were good at their job.
Philadelphia Sports Radio.
He'd have to keep it tight to the vest.
Yeah, you couldn't be able to see. Everybody knows you're a Laker fan, Spadoni. So
It's all right.
Out there waiting for you.